Welcome to the Outbound Sales Podcast with your host, Jeff Swan. Each week, we're going to be talking to sellers, sales leaders, and company founders who are sharing their secrets to getting over 10 meetings booked per month per rep. Every episode is going to be packed full of tactical and practical tips you can use to fill your funnel today. So thank you and happy hunting. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Fill the Funnel podcast with your host, Jeff Swan. I'm here with Asthon, who his goal is to be the top SDR in the world. So needless to say, when I connected with Asthon, I thought we were kindred spirits because I want to be the best at what I do as well. I want to be the best outbound sales coach in the world. So we very much connected there. And it's been a great, back and forth exchange between the two of us since we've met. But now we're finally getting a chance to meet in person. I'm really excited. So Asthon, I'd love to get you to introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and who you prospect to.
Hi, Jeff, and hi to everyone who will be watching this video. I've been working in sales for the last 3 years, and I initially started with doing, door-to-door sales and, meeting people. I used to meet 100 people a day, and that's how I began my journey. I used to do like business to business, going to residential areas, events, road shows, street shows, going in malls and raising monies. I used to raise for charities. And this was a very brutal kind of a job experience because I just graduated and I had to meet like 100 people a day, and it was a commissions based job only. So if I don't make money, I'm not going to earn anything, and I'm going to spend 9 hours to 12 hours every day, working hard. And that's how my journey in sales started off. And once I began working over there, I worked there for a good 1 year. Then I moved to another profile. I worked again in sales. I was doing pre and post sales, handling retention for customers. And then the last profile I worked for was as an SDR. It's been a good year. I've worked as an SDR, and I've been able to successfully book 10 to 15 outbound meetings every month. And with the MQLs, like the marketing qualified leads, it goes up to 20. And that's what today's podcast is going to be about.
Awesome. No, thank you so much, Asthon. That's super exciting. I don't know if you know this, but I actually started my career in a mix of retail and door-to-door sales. So I had retail sales that I did part-time while going through university, but then I also, on the summer months, I went out and I did some outbound, door-to-door selling. And just like you, 9, 10, 12 hours a day, you sure put some miles on your shoes. And you end up really getting an appreciation for rejection and interruption and all the things that are so important to being successful in sales. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, true. I have some friends who tell me, rejection on the phone call is bad. I'm like, wait till you get rejected at someone's door when they just bang the door at your face.
Yeah, no kidding. I always tell my students about this one particular story. It's just like something that's burned into my head since it happened. But this was almost 20 years ago now. But I remember standing there. It was a really slow night at my retail store. I used to sell electronics, and a customer came up, walked down the aisle towards our department, and me and 2 other staff members were sitting there talking, and almost annoyed that there was a customer there, to be honest. Because we were having a good conversation. No. So one of the guys actually decided to go up and talk to the customer, and immediately within 2 seconds, the guy went like this. two inches from his face. Okay. So for anybody listening and not watching, I put the hand up right to the face. So, you probably heard the talk to the hand concept. Well, this was literally happening. And so imagine that kind of rejection and in person, how you feel when somebody's physically almost assaulting you. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's there's nothing like that. Phone rejection sucks, but there's nothing like that. Right.
Yeah, true. There's nothing as worst as getting rejected in person, and that too when you're meeting 100 people and the majority of them are rejecting you.
Yeah.
Not rejecting you, but rejecting the product. But in case, like, rejecting you.
Yeah, well, and it's funny you say that, because rejection is really all about, it's not really about you, is it? Like when you're
Yeah,
cold
true.
calling, or you're cold knocking on doors, that kind of thing, you are the problem that's in front of them, right? Like even though you're a
Right.
salesperson, your goal is to solve their problems and help them progress in their hero's journey and all that stuff.
Yeah.
In that moment, when you're showing up to their door, you're the problem, aren't you?
True.
They just want to get away and
Get away
escape
with
from you as soon as humanly possible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me now, if you're booking 10 to 15 meetings a month self-sourced, and then like you said, with inbounds with MQLs, you're booking as many as 20 and more. Tell me, like, what is one of the things that you do today that really helps you get to that level, to get to 10 to 15 meetings a month every single month?
Yeah. So initially when I joined, I thought like, making more amount of calls would probably get me there. But as I progressed, I realized it's, I would say doing the hard work is important, but a lot of like the reason why I was able to book meetings faster and reduce the call durations was because I was doing good research. And there's a process to the research as well. So like if there are like, if like I'll give you a brief of how my day starts, which would give you a better perspective as to how I'm looking at accounts. So normally I start my day probably the first half an hour, it's only learning something on sales, and that could be anyone, like Jordan Belfort, Grant Cardone, or any of the sales guys. Just hearing them, getting in the zone, and getting myself like ready for it. And after that, I'm moving more towards like picking up 3 to 5 ABM accounts, like my account based, which are given to me by my manager or which we feel are a good fit for our product. And then what I'm doing is I'm looking at these 5 accounts. And I'm prioritizing them as to which I feel has the best is a best fit, which would give me a best output, which would give me a best output on the call that I'm making. So I would then look at those 5 accounts, and I would look at I would segregate the accounts as to like this will all be called in the first half and these for the second half. Once I do that, I'll look at each account. I'm going to actually go on HubSpot and look at all the contacts that are in these accounts, right? And when the accounts get added into HubSpot, if my marketing team has been sending them emails, I'm then going and looking at which of these prospects are opening my emails and reading. Why I'm doing this is because I'm already looking for leads who are warm, who have an idea about my product, or they've just read an email, because then it gives me some context to speak about, and it reduces the kind of vibe where they are like, this is a cold call. So they are like not caught off guard, and I don't have to go through that initial phase of making them feel comfortable, or the rapport phase. So I look at clients who are actively reading these emails from HubSpot. That's one. And secondly, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to decipher in the first 3 calls who's the decision maker. That's one. Secondly is what are they currently doing? Like how is their company set up? Because what I have noticed is every company, there are different decision makers. And the thing is, what I'm looking at is how is the company structure set up? Who are the decision makers? One. Secondly, which person in that company is has his KPIs aligned to my product. That means because of not having my product, which manager, vice president, or leader, founder in the company is facing a problem because they don't have my product. I'm looking at that person. And secondly, before contacting the decision maker, I'm always looking one notch down. I'm speaking to the person who reports to him. Why is because they are usually not the decision makers, but they are the best source of information for me. Like I will exactly know, like, okay, like what is the state of the, the office? Like, are they working from home? Are they in office? Okay. If they are in office, like what's his schedule? Like, is he free in the morning, afternoon? And because
you're describing, Ashton, you're describing they're the champion basically, right? The champion they're going to feel the pain. They're going to action the pain. They're going to, they're going to be most motivated to want to do something. And they're also going to be the one that is most educated on what they've tried and what has and hasn't worked.
Right.
Right.
And then I'm going to fine tune my pitch as per the person I'm speaking to. So say, for example, like if it's a vice president, his KPIs or his metrics or the things that he would be looking at would be way different than a manager, because they both have different processes or different roles to play in that company. So I'm looking at what are these two individuals, like how are they getting affected because they don't have my product. That's one. Secondly, I'm looking at a champion who knows about my company. Now, here, what I do is I do one of the two things. Either I'll get connected to the decision maker after talking to the champion. Then what I do is I talk to the decision maker saying that I spoke to the champion. So the decision maker is like, okay, this guy has spoken to someone. He knows my company or he knows someone from my company. So he's not a random caller, which makes the person a little bit much more comfortable. That's one. Secondly, once I send the meeting invite, like once, say for example, he gives me a meeting, that's one case. In case he doesn't give me a meeting, I'm sending him an email. I'm asking for a follow-up date and time at that very moment. I'm sending him the appropriate email, like whatever he needs, all the documentation to feel like he has a good perspective about my product. And then I'm following up. That's the second case. The first case, if he gives me a meeting, I'm looking at it. I'm going to ask him for his time. Because usually what I've noticed is in case you give your own time, then the prospects sometimes say that, I'm not free at this time. So I normally tell them on the call, can you check your calendar and let me know what time would you be free? So I'm always asking them to give me a time, and I'm telling them to accept the invitation or the invite on the call itself so that it serves as a reminder for them. That's one. And secondly, then like what I've noticed is when people accept the invite, they usually give a response in case they're not going to make it. They are showing, they end up showing a response that, I can't make it at this time. Whereas in case I've sent an email and that person has not accepted the invite, sometimes they say that, I didn't get the email, or there could be various reasons for it. I didn't see it and so on. So I'm ensuring that on the call itself, they are aware about the email, they know about it. That's one way.
So you're making sure, like when you're on that cold call, when you're on that first call with the decision maker, not the champion, right? You're talking about confirming with them, letting them know that I'm going to send you an email with an invitation so that you know that.
No. So with the champion, I'm just trying to gauge information. I know he's not the decision maker, but I'll make him feel that I'm just trying to like know more about his company, and I'm going to tell him about a service. And then I'm going to use his reference to talk to the decision maker. I'm not going directly to the decision maker, because of which the decision maker feels that this guy knows the guy who reports to me. So it comes off as a warm prospect. He's much more open to listening to me, because if I tell him, hey Jeff, your buddy Ryan, I just spoke to him. So he would listen to me. He would not go like, is this a cold pitch or whatever? I don't want to listen to you right now. He would be much open to it.
Yeah. So effectively, the strategy here and what works so well for you is you're not just talking about pre-call research, looking at somebody's profile or online. You're talking about actually doing some real investigation into the company itself and learning from the people, actually the users effectively of your solution. Right? Yeah. So that's something that really stands out about what you're saying here, Ashton. I really appreciate
because the reason for this is I used to do research on LinkedIn, but a lot of times I realized the decision makers, sometimes they don't update their LinkedIn profiles. Secondly, they don't state their KPIs. And thirdly, an average manager gets promoted in a year or two. Like in case their designation doesn't change, their roles and responsibilities do change. So instead of looking and doing the hard work by myself, I'm looking at someone in the company who can give me that information in a 3-minute call, who can solve the issue for me, get me directly to the person. So what I'm trying to do is like get qualified research in the least amount of time without wasting time.
I absolutely love that, Ashton, because you're not betting your growth strategy or your ability to book meetings on what's available online or what's available through a tool. You're betting on yourself being able to be pretty much an investigative journalist, right? Trying to get to the heart of the story and making sure that you're going into that account loaded with the right stuff, with KPIs that match what are actually happening in real life, not stated on a website, and matching, initiatives and things like that are actually real and happening every day.
Yeah. Usually I have this conversation with my colleagues. If I don't get a meeting from that account, you cannot, because I've digged enough in that account that meeting will not come out, because I speak to at least 3 to 5 people in the company, so I get a good idea of who's the decision maker, what are the problems, do they even have a need, right? Mm-hmm. And by the time I have a clear picture, is this account, should I go behind or should I cut short the time and move to the next account?
So in that respect then, I mean, now this is something you've obviously perfected over the past year that you've been doing SDR, and then of course an entire career of sales. Can you remember a time when you were booking less than 10 meetings a month?
Yeah, so I would say there are phases on booking meetings, and I would say a lot of booking meetings is psychological. So these are the differences which I've noticed. If you ask me, the months that I've done high numbers and the months I've done low numbers. The months that I've done high numbers are two things. One is my week starts very strong. In my first week itself, I have 3 to 4 meetings, because of which I know that, the week is going strong. It builds momentum. I think at the end of every week, the last week of the month, I'm preparing my pipeline for the next month. Usually that's how I work. My last week is just how can I prepare my first week in such a way that my first week is sorted, which gives me a good head start. And then the second week will take care of itself. So usually in the first week, I'm trying to push for 4 meetings. If I get 4 meetings in the first week, I can push through and do, it becomes easier. And the reason why I do it in the last week is I'm preparing these guys in the last week. I'm talking to them, I'm having those conversations for people who will not give me a meeting on the first call, second call, third call. So I'm having the duration of meetings in the last week, so that in the first week, I already have a date, or on the last week, I can put the date for the first week.
Love it, Ashton. So if I'm going to summarize what you're saying there, is that effectively when you have high numbers, it's when you build that momentum and start early and you prepare before the beginning of the month. Yeah. When you have low numbers, it's when you don't prepare properly for that first week, you don't get the momentum, and then you're kind of playing catch up for the rest of the month.
True. If you start strong, you usually tend to end strong. It goes really well. How you start is usually depends how you end. That's what has worked for me. It could differ from people to people. And another thing I would say is a number of why I would say meetings are high in those months. What I've done different is, I would say another thing is doing follow up. Really following up with the customer. I think what I learned is the meetings which are in high revenue. I mean, although this as an SDR, it doesn't apply to me, the opportunity value, but in terms of the big clients, right? They take time. I have followed up with a client for 4 months. In the 5th month, he gave me a meeting and he came on the call. He was like, I just came on this call because this guy wouldn't just leave me, and he just kept at it. So
you know what,
he came
Ashton,
on the call.
Ashton, I absolutely love this. And I think that there's 2 things that I take away from what you're telling me today. Number 1, research, but put every bit of your heart and soul into learning everything you can before you even talk to the decision maker, and learn what you can from inside the organization. Don't leave it to chance or website. The second thing is follow up until you're blue in the face. So thank you so much, Ashton. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Thank you for joining us for the Outbound Sales Podcast. We hope you learned something new that you can use today to start filling your funnel and leveling up your outbound sales game. If you're still looking for more support and guidance on how to get to 10 meetings or more booked a month, then go to outboundsos.com. There's something for everybody. Thanks, and happy hunting.